Math 7, Unit 2, Solving, Lesson 4, Part 2. Solving examples, solving addition problems. Solve each equation, check your solution. Okay. P minus 5 equals negative 2. Alright, first, we're trying to get P by itself. So we need to get rid of the minus 5, the negative 5. You get rid of negative 5 by turning it into a 0. We need a positive 5 on both sides. So we're going to bring 5 to both sides. I guess we are adding. P plus 0. We don't usually do the plus 0 because it's 0 now. It is gone. And negative 2 plus 5 is 3. We now have a solution. P equals 3. And we can check that solution. We bring down the original equation, P minus 5 equals negative 2. We're going to take out the P and replace it with 3. 3 minus 5 equals negative 2. That is true. That one is checked. Move on to the next one. W plus 13.2 equals 10.4. We have to get W by itself, which means we have to get rid of 13.2. We need it to be a 0. So negative 13.2 will make it turn into 0. This is now gone. We get W by itself over here. And 10.4 minus 13.2 is negative 2.8. And that is our solution. And now we just need to check that solution. So in place of W, I'm going to put negative 2.8. And then I'm going to add 13.2. And that should equal 10.4. Alright, negative 2.8 plus 13.2. I'm just going to line up and subtract. That does equal 10.4. So that's correct. I just want to make sure you're not misunderstanding here. This right here, I wasn't doing the same thing to both sides. I was just taking this and lining it up underneath to do the addition or the subtraction in this case, just to check to see what it was. It could also be checked on a calculator. Okay, next problem. X minus 5/6 equals negative 1/6. We need to get rid of the 5/6. We need the x to be by itself. So negative 5/6, the opposite of that is 5/6. So we're going to do 5/6 on both sides. This gives us the 0 we were looking for. And we get x equals negative 1/6 and 5/6. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. We get 4/6, which is just 2/3. So the answer, x equals 2/3. And then we need to check the solution. We start with the original equation. X minus 5/6 equals negative 1/6. And then in place of x, we are going to put in 2/3. Now 2/3 is better actually written as 4/6 in this case. So 4/6 minus 5/6 equals negative 1/6. With a common denominator, we just need to check across the top here. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. That is true. So that is checked. All right, let's look at a situation problem. A company has a profit of $750 this week. This profit's $900 more than the profit P last week. Which equation can be used to find P? Alright, there's actually 3 different ways this equation could be written, and all 3 are correct. There is one that is most common. Let's go over the most common one first. The profit this week is $900 more than the profit last week. So the profit this week, we're going to use 750. Is my equal sign. So the profit this week is 750. It is P plus 900. 900 more than means plus 900. Okay, there are, as I mentioned, 2 other here that would work. You could also have, since the profit last week is 750 and the profit this week is P, but it's 900 more, we could take last week and subtract 900 to get to what it is this week. We could also say that 900, since it's the difference between them, it is last week minus this week. Last week minus this week. So both of those would end up working also. They're just different ways of setting up the same thing, which actually shouldn't be a surprise because addition and subtraction, you learned in earlier grades, are opposite operations. So this thing where we're showing 750 is P plus 900, you can take the 900 minus the 750 to get P, or you can take the 750 minus 900 to get P, or 750 minus P to get 900, because you can do subtraction to undo addition. Okay, some more examples. These are in your notes. X minus 5 equals negative 1. I think we saw this in the previous video. We add 5 to both sides. This gives us 0 here. 0 plus x is x, and negative 1 plus 5 is 4. We get x equals 4 as our answer. Then we just check to see if that is the correct solution. In place of x, we're going to put 4. 4 minus 5 equals negative 1. That's just taking this original equation and bringing it down, plugging in x equals 4. And by the way, that's true. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Okay, next example. We did this one also in the previous video. Z plus 3 halves is 1 half. We're going to get rid of 3 halves by using a negative 3 halves on both sides. So 3 halves plus negative 3 halves is 0. We're left with z by itself. Negative 1 half and negative 3 halves. Well, 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So this is negative 2 halves, which is the same as negative 1 when you reduce it. So z equals negative 1. Then we check our solution. We're going to start with the original equation, z plus 3 halves. I'm going to replace z with negative 1 plus 3 halves equals 1 half. Negative 1 is negative 2 halves. So negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So negative 2 halves plus 3 halves equals 1 half. That is true. So that is checked. Okay, next example. R minus negative 4 equals 17. Minus negative, I would go ahead and quickly change that to plus positive. So R plus 4. The way to get rid of a 4 is with a negative 4. We need to do that on both sides. That is now 0. R plus 0 is R. 17 minus 4 is 13. So we get R equals 13 as our solution. And we check that solution. We go back to the original problem and copy that down. R, which I'm going to replace with 13, minus negative 4 equals 17. Minus negative I can change to plus positive. 13 plus 4 is 17. That is true. Okay, next example. T plus 13.2 equals 10.4. We're going to subtract 13.2 from both sides. And that gives us T equals 10.4 minus 13.2 is negative 2.8. That could be checked on the calculator. So that is our solution. We just want to check and see if that is in fact correct. So in place of T, I'm going to put negative 2.8 plus 13.2 equals 10.4. And I just need to check to see if those add up to 10.4. It's a 13.2 and a negative 2.8, so the positives are going to win and I need to subtract. So I end up with 10.4. This is correct. That could also be checked on a calculator. Okay, next example. A minus 4 and 1/8 equals negative 2 and 1/4. To get rid of negative 4 and 1/8, I need a positive 4 and 1/8. Positive 4 and 1/8. That gets rid of this. A equals, I need to do a little bit of math here with the fractions. 4 and 1/8 and negative 2 1/4. The positive's bigger, so it ends up winning. I'm going to need to do 4 1/8, and I'm going to subtract from it 2 1/4. I need common denominator here, so I'm going to change 1/4 into 2/8. And 1/8 minus 2/8 I can't do. I'm going to have to borrow. So I borrow and I need another 1 over here, which is 9/8. So I have 9/8 minus 2/8, that's 7/8. And 3 minus 2 is 1. And we decided earlier it's positive, so this is 1 and 7/8 as the answer. So A equals 1 and 7/8. Now checking the solution, we're going to have 1 and 7/8 minus 4 and 1/8 equals negative 2 and 1/4. Now we're going to have to do a little bit of math right here. The negative 4 and 1/8 is larger than the positive 1 and 7/8, so I'm going to have to set it up as subtraction this way. 1/8 minus 7/8 cannot be done, so I'm going to have to borrow. And so I've got 9/8 minus 7/8 is 2/8. 3 minus 1 is 2. Of course, that needs to be negative because the negative is 1 there. 2/8 reduces to 1/4. So negative 2 1/4, that's exactly what's there. So negative 2 1/4 equals negative 2 1/4. That is true. So that has been properly checked. Okay, next example. W plus negative 31 equals negative 1. To get rid of the negative 31, we need a positive 31 on both sides. And that gets rid of that. W plus 0 is W. Negative 1 plus 31 is 30. So I get my answer, W equals 30. Then I'm going to check my solution. 30 plus negative 31 equals negative 1. Now the negatives win here, so we do get a negative answer, that's good. And 31 minus 30 is 1, so negative 1. That is correct. Okay, a couple situation problems. The total cost of a point of sale purchase is the sell price plus the sales tax. Write and solve an equation, an addition equation, to determine the sales tax for a bicycle on sale for $89.99 with a point of sale total cost of $96.26. Now up here, they tell us that the point of sale purchase is the sell plus sales tax. So your point of sale is equal to, let's just call it P for purchase. We're just kind of putting things together here. So your purchase price is going to equal the sell price plus tax. Just kind of thinking of it that way. The purchase price is $96.26. Okay. The sell price is $89.99. And the sales tax is not known. I'm going to use T for tax. I'm going to curve the bottom of my T so it does not look like a plus sign. Okay, now to get T by itself, we need to get rid of the $89.99. It needs to become a 0. We do that with a negative $89.99 on both sides. Right here, that is 0. So I get T by itself, and that equals 627. So this one, since it's a situation problem, I want to answer it as though it was just a regular question. So it would be $6.27 tax as the answer. Now I do want to double check that. If I take $8.99, and since it's a situation problem, I'm double checking it using the original situation rather than putting it into my equation. I could have done something wrong with the equation. So $89.99 was the original price. $6.27 in sales tax. This brings us up to $96.26. which is the final sell price, that is checked and it is correct. Okay, next. The equation x plus n equals 31 has a solution x equals negative 17 when solved for x. What value of a satisfies these conditions? Alright, this problem is intended to have you realize that a solution represents what you get when you plug the number in. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to take the number negative 17 and plug it in for x. So this will be negative 17 plus n equals 31. Because we already know what x is, we can just plug it in. Now there's actually only one variable, n. We can solve for that and figure out what it is. So you get rid of negative 17 with a positive 17. And then 31 plus 17 is 48. So 48 should be your solution. Just maybe double checking that. Let's see, how would we double check that? If x plus 48 equals 31, we need to get negative 17 when we solve for x. So let's put negative 17 in there. Negative 17 plus 48 is 31. That's actually true. So n does equal 48 there. That's the only number that will work for n, so that we get an answer of negative 17 for x. Okay, in your assignment, let's do a preview of a few problems. On number 1, you're going to solve each equation and check your solution. Let's go ahead and do one of these. Let's do part B. In part B, we're trying to get z by itself. So we need to get rid of the negative 8. We get rid of negative 8 with a plus 8. Negative 8 and positive 8 make 0. We get z by itself. Negative 3 and 8 make 5. So we get the answer of z equals 5. And we check the solution. So checking the solution, negative 3 equals 5 minus 8. That's taking the original equation and plugging the numbers in. 5 minus 8 is negative 3. So this is true. And there it is, 1b. That's finished. Solve it, check your solution. Number 2, write an equation to model each situation, then solve. Express the answer with a complete sentence. Let's take a look at number 2, part A. Dry ice. The temperature of dry ice is negative 109.3 degrees Fahrenheit. This is 184.9 degrees less than the outside temperature. What is the outside temperature? Okay, in this situation, we've got the outside temperature, and if we subtract 184.9 from it, we will get the temperature of dry ice. So that's what we're going to use, that idea right there, to write this equation. First, we don't know what the outside temperature is, so we need to define that as our variable. Let's make x equal the outside temperature. So the outside temperature minus 184.9 will equal the temperature of dry ice, negative 109.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, in order to get x, the outside temperature by itself, we need to get rid of negative 184.9. We do that with the opposite, positive 184.9 plus 184.9. And then x ends up equaling 184.9 minus 109.3. So the positives win. I don't currently have a calculator in my hand, so I'm just going to do this by hand. 9 minus 3 is 6. 14 minus 9 is 5. 7 minus 0 is 7. So we get 75.6, negative 7. No, it's just 75.6. There's no negative involved there. It's 75.6 degrees Fahrenheit outside. That is the outside temperature. Now, to check that, I would just pick up my calculator, take 75.6, and subtract the 184.9, and you should end up with negative 109.3. Okay, moving forward. Number 3, write and solve an equation to find the unknown side length. Remember perimeter. Perimeter, you're going to take this, which we don't know, so you might want to use something like x, and then make it equal to 12. I'm not going to solve this one, but that right there would be an equation you could use to solve for it. The perimeter is 3 plus 5 plus x, and it does equal 12. Once you get x by itself, you'll know the length of the missing side. Number 4, factor the expression using the greatest common factor. Number 5 is prime factorization. This is just review. Remember, when you factor 36, you split it out. Maybe it's 6 times 6. Each 6 is 2 times 3. And that gives you 2, 3, 2, and 3. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And that's what this example here shows. You're just going to be doing the same thing with 56. Unit pricing, that's a review back in 6th grade with unit pricing. 2 apples costed $1.90. How much is it going to cost you for 7 apples? Number 7, fill in the blank so that each equation will have the solution x equals 5. So x equals 5 is going to be the solution. You have to fill in a number to make that happen. So right here, this is 5 plus a number equals 15. Well, that number would have to be 10. So the answer on the first one would have to be 10 to fill in the blank. Okay. Number 8, critical thinking. Find the values of x. Now this is based on absolute value. Now remember that absolute value, let's actually look at b here real quick. If I go ahead and add 2 to both sides to get rid of the negative 2, I get absolute value x equals 6. Okay, now I want you to think, what numbers have 6 as their absolute value? Okay, doing a little bit of thought bubble brain down here. Remember that since absolute value is distance from 0, there are actually 2 numbers whose distance from 0 is 6. So this actually has 2 answers, -6 and 6. Both of those are 6 away from 0 and have an absolute value of 6.